Yeah, how do you put someone in jail and you don't even name the clients? That sounds kind of insane. There was a lot of people that met with him and did business with him and traveled with him after he was arrested.
Names, last names, area codes, okay?
Who created this book?
Epstein.
We're so grateful to be joined by Jeffrey Epstein survivor, Annie Farmer. Annie, thank you so much for taking the time to come back on the show.
I would like to answer your question, but on the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer this question and any related questions.
Long before the files were unsealed, Jeffrey Epstein attempted to lure Joe Rogan to his island, and Joe refused. While billionaires, government officials, tech moguls, and celebrities flocked to Jeffrey Epstein, Rogan remained the outlier who sensed something was deeply wrong. From the details chronicled in Epstein's secret black book to the horrors aboard the Lolita Express, Rogan is finally sounding off on everything the FBI left unredacted in the Epstein files.
People have an understanding of how things are really working than ever before.
Yeah.
Like this Epstein file thing, right? That was a big eye-opener for a lot of people. When you see how many people after 2008, after he was arrested, after he went to jail, were actively taking money from him. MIT took money from him and tried to hide it and said to make sure that any donations from Jeffrey are listed as anonymous. So
Wow.
you find out like people are like, they referred to him as Voldemort, like you couldn't say his name.
Wow.
There was a lot of people that met with him and did business with him and traveled with him after he was arrested, after he went to jail.
Do you spend a lot of time reading them?
No, I try not to. I try to have experts come on. I try to read. You can't change it.
Yeah.
And it'll with your head.
Yeah, it's
like
toxic.
You will really get.
It'll stick with and I know I've tried not to.
Yeah.
On a recent episode, Rogan revealed a 2017 incident where theoretical physicist Lawrence Krauss attempted to facilitate a meeting with Epstein. Recent file releases corroborate this. In an email, Epstein wrote to Krauss, "It is wild like Damascus. How are things? I saw you did the Joe Rogan show. Can you introduce me? I think he's funny." Krauss reached out, but Rogan wasn't biting. Epstein persisted, emailing, "If he wants, Rogan can have dinner with Woody Allen on Friday." Krauss eventually replied, "Sorry about Rogan. So far, he seems more timid than I would have thought." At the time, Epstein was already a convicted sex offender, yet he continued partying with the global elite, exchanging emails with figures like Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Prince Andrew, and Jay-Z. Rogan's hesitation likely stemmed from warnings by Alex Jones, who had predicted the scandal years prior. Somehow, Jones knew exactly what was transpiring on Epstein's island and private plane decades before the conviction or the release of any files.
I'm in the files for not going.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm in the files for not going. Because Jeffrey Epstein was trying to meet with me.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah, and I was like, what?
I'm like, no thanks.
Yeah.
Aren't you glad?
Yeah, but I would have never went anyway. It's like, it's not even a possibility that I would have went.
But
especially after I Googled him. I was like, what the are you talking about? This was like 2017. One of my guests was trying to get me to meet him. I was like, you high? Like, what the are you talking about?
For what reason would you? What would be...
If I was a guy who was like sucking up to the rich and powerful, if I was really interested in hanging out with rich and powerful people.
You know, it's crazy. That's so crazy. But yeah, some people
get intoxicated by being in a circle of rich and powerful people, even if they're not, like, they don't even have any ambitions of being one of those people. They just want to be around them. They want to be around Nobel Prize winners. And because this guy what he was doing was very clever in that he was getting all of these very powerful and very respected people together.
Yeah.
And you would figure like, oh, it's
if that
safe.
Guy's there, if that lady's
Clinton's
there.
here. This is fine.
Right.
Clinton's here. How could this be bad?
Yeah.
Look, it's Steven Pinker. How could this be bad?
Yeah.
You know, he's a genius. Like, and so you would go, I would imagine, you would go to these, because there's people that went to these, like he had parties in New York, like he brought in celebrities and comedians. Didn't Louis Black get invited to one of those? I think he's talked about it. I know Chelsea Handler went to one of them. It's like he would bring all these people in, and he'd like to be around famous people and entertainers and a lot of intellectuals and professors. And Noam Chomsky was famously deeply involved.
Rogan credits Alex Jones for keeping him away from that circle. Years ago, Jones warned Joe that Epstein's island wasn't merely a playground for the elite, but a honey trap where powerful figures were compromised. According to Jones, Epstein was harvesting blackmail material by filming high-profile guests in compromising positions after drugging them. By 2017, Epstein's conviction was public knowledge, making the continued association of billionaires like Bill Gates all the more disturbing.
Seems very dark.
Very
because
dark.
It seems like it was this bizarre blackmail influence thing that was going on for a long
For
time.
so
A long time.
Through different administrations. That's
Yeah.
what's so unbelievable about it.
It's
how
dark.
long it was going on.
Here, the narrative takes a sinister turn. Why was Epstein hoarding blackmail? And how did he infiltrate the inner circles of the Saudi and British royal families? With even President Clinton photographed alongside him, it suggests Epstein didn't just stumble into this world, he was installed there. Rogan theorizes that Epstein was likely an asset for a foreign intelligence agency. If his job was to entrap the powerful, it explains the funding for his lavish lifestyle, private jets, and global properties. The question remains, who was footing the bill?
Let me just get real and
What
say,
do you, if I gun to your head, what do you think your best assessment of what Epstein, who was Epstein, who was he working for?
well, I don't know, right? So I'm just guessing. Everybody wants to say he was working for the Mossad. He very well could have been. He could have been working for the CIA. He could have been a guy who was on his own, but also working with them, right? Like a guy that they used, but they never fully endorsed.
Like an asset?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a guy who could move money around.
Right.
He definitely...
Good at laundering money.
The moving money around stuff was very weird because he had money through no way that anybody could ever explain.
Yeah.
He had an enormous amount of money through no way that nobody could ever explain. Which, you know, if you're state funded, you're funded by Israel and Israel's funded by America, and, you know, there's also NGOs and nonprofits, and there's ways to move money around where you can give this guy money.
Yeah.
So he was like Weinstein, who is an economist, right? Weinstein's a legitimate mathematician.
Eric?
Yeah. So when Eric met him, his first inclination was he was a fraud.
He's a construct.
Yeah, a construct. And did he tell you the whole story about the girl sitting on his lap?
Yep.
So Epstein, while he's meeting with Eric Weinstein for the first time, has a beautiful girl sitting on his lap, and a woman. I shouldn't say girl. He said she was like in her 20s, and she's sitting on his lap, and he's bouncing around, sort of juggling around while
he's asking math questions.
Yeah, talking serious. So he was obviously nerd fishing. He was fishing for nerds, and I think he caught a lot of nerds in that net. There's a lot of those
100%.
guys that wound up going to that island. They probably thought, this is great. We get to party.
The evidence was chronicled in Epstein's secret black book, a ledger containing the names, dates, and contact details of visitors and victims alike. For years, the book was considered a ghost until 2009, when the FBI launched a sting operation to acquire it. The footage, included in recent releases, captures Epstein's former house manager, Alfredo Rodriguez, attempting to sell the book to an undercover agent. In the video, Rodriguez alleges that Ghislaine Maxwell maintained a separate database of victims, potentially containing explicit material. This database has never been recovered, and Maxwell refuses to cooperate even after Epstein's death. It forces the question, who or what is she so afraid of?
Names, last names, area codes, okay?
Who created this book?
Epstein himself.
This book was made by Epstein?
This is a video of an FBI sting operation with Jeffrey Epstein's former house manager and an undercover FBI employee from 2009. The Palm Beach house manager, Alfredo Rodriguez, believes he is selling Epstein's address book to someone representing a lawyer of Epstein's victims.
You will see a lot of important people here.
He claims that the book contains contacts of powerful people, as well as Epstein's victims.
So those are mostly underage girls, those numbers?
They were very young.
A source familiar with the case confirmed the video shows the sting operation, which court documents show happened 2 years after the FBI demanded that Rodriguez turn over any Epstein documents. Instead, court documents say he kept the address book and tried to sell it for $50,000.
Alfredo, how are you? How you doing, buddy?
In the occasionally redacted 45-minute video of the meeting, Rodriguez implicates Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's close associate, who's now serving a 20-year sentence for of minors.
Ghislaine Maxwell was his former companion, a very powerful lady from England. She would go to the former Eastern countries in Europe and find girls for Epstein. And I knew that because I went with my wife.
Rodriguez also claims that Maxwell kept a computer database of girls, something he said he saw briefly once.
What kind of pictures?
Naked girls from Sweden, from Romania, from Czechoslovakia, from Brazil, from
All
Colombia.
minors? All young girls?
Very young, very young.
Like when you say very young, how young are we talking?
16, 17. The teenagers, they have braces mostly.
Rodriguez provided no evidence to support the existence of the database.
Good count it. And while you're
The video, released as part of the recent trove of Epstein documents, abruptly ends after the agent hands Rodriguez a bag of cash and says he will call the lawyer.
The 2009 Sting video offers a rare glimpse into the operation. Rodriguez, believing he was selling the book to a victim's lawyer, explicitly implicated Ghislaine Maxwell. He described her as a powerful lady, and Epstein's former companion. Most chillingly, he claimed to have briefly seen a computer database of girls kept by Maxwell. Despite Rodriguez providing no physical proof of the database, the footage ends abruptly after the exchange of cash. Beyond the island, the abuse allegedly extended to the Lolita Express. Victims testified that Epstein trafficked girls during travel to alleviate his boredom. These crimes were committed in plain sight of pilots, crew, and passengers who turned a blind eye, covering for him rather than reporting the abuse. Express features heavily in the latest document dump. Flight logs confirm the jet transported guests internationally. An email dated January 7, 2020, with the subject line Flight Records, highlighted that Donald Trump appeared on at least 8 flight manifests between 1993 and 1996. The email claims that on at least 4 of those flights, Ghislaine Maxwell was also present. One entry from 1993 lists only Epstein and Trump. Another lists them alongside a redacted entry for a 20-year-old female passenger. While presence on a flight log establishes association rather than criminality, the recurring appearance of high-profile names alongside Epstein continues to fuel intense speculation regarding why a future president was traveling with him. Recently, the Department of Justice unsealed the names of 6 more billionaires connected to Epstein, action taken only after specific pressure from senators. This raises a critical question. Why is the DOJ so hesitant? Public sentiment is scathing. One viral comment noted, "Instead of protecting the victims, the DOJ redacted the predators' names. They protected the guilty." Another added, "I don't think the DOJ is concerned about the victims. They are preserving the predators because they are high-ranking, wealthy individuals with political pull. It is a corrupt cover-up."
Congressman Massey and I went to the Department of Justice to read the unredacted Epstein files. We spent about 2 hours there, and we learned that 70 to 80% of the files are still redacted. In fact, there were 6 wealthy, powerful men that the DOJ hid for no apparent reason. When Congressman Massey and I pointed this out to the Department of Justice, they acknowledged their mistake, and now they have revealed the identity of these 6 powerful men. These men are Salvatore Navora, Zorab Mikoladze, Leopig Leonor, Nicola Caputa, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, CEO of Dubai Ports World, and billionaire businessman Leslie Wexner, who was labeled as a co-conspirator by the FBI. Now, my question is, why did it take Thomas Massey and me going to the Justice Department to get these 6 men's identities to become public? And if we found 6 men that they were hiding in 2 hours, imagine how many men they are covering up for in those 3 million files.
Rogan has voiced his suspicions regarding the lack of prosecutions. Despite the FBI possessing terabytes of data, reportedly only 20% of which has been released, arrests remain non-existent. Epstein's Black Book was recovered in 2009, yet not a single listed associate has faced trial. This immunity fuels theories that Epstein was protected by intelligence networks like the Mossad. While no verified evidence definitively proves he was an intelligence asset, the silence from the justice system makes the theory harder to dismiss.
But yeah, I think the public will be rightly frustrated if no one is prosecuted for the Epstein client list, no one at all, which, no one, at least, I don't know, the top 5 or something, like some number. There should at least be an attempted prosecution of the worst offenders.
Well, particularly if Ghislaine Maxwell is in jail for again.
Yes.
Because, trafficking...
Well, that means occurred.
Right. So she's in jail for it.
Yes.
So,
who were the clients?
Yeah. Yeah, how do you put someone in jail and you don't even name the clients? That sounds kind of insane.
I think, yes, it would... Yes, because...
Just stunning that they've been able to hold it back for so long. It's really kind of amazing.
Yes.
Like when people say that people can't keep secrets, what the f*** are you talking about? Look at this.
Yeah, I mean, a bunch of these things are not like... It's common knowledge, but we don't actually have the proof.
Right.
So the proof is there. I mean, there's lots of videos. Yeah. There's lots. I mean, the dude is like a mountain of whenever they raided Epstein's place, there would have been like a mountain of evidence. Where is that mountain?
Right. What'd you do with it?
Yes. Like who took possession of the evidence?
Yeah.
Specifically.
Right.
The individuals.
Where are the tapes?
So far, consequences have been limited to reputational damage rather than criminal charges. Peter Mandelson, the UK ambassador, was forced to resign after the depth of his ties to Epstein surfaced. Then there is Prince Andrew. Accused by Virginia Giuffre of abuse when she was a minor, Andrew has vehemently denied the allegations. However, the fallout was severe enough for King Charles to strip him of his royal patronages and military titles, effectively exiling him from public life.
From disturbing photos of the former Prince Andrew to his alleged sharing of government documents with convicted offender Jeffrey Epstein, the fallout from the Epstein files once again putting the British royal family into turmoil. Andrew has denied all wrongdoing, but the pressure is now ramping up on the royals to do and say more about their disgraced relative.
The Crown under fire.
Charles, how long have you known about Andrew and Epstein?
From King Charles to Prince William, shouted at in Saudi Arabia.
To what extent do you think the royal family has done enough around the Andrew and Epstein issue?
ITV also capturing Queen Camilla getting tough questions too.
Do you have a message for Epstein's victims, Your Majesty?
We've never actually seen other members of the royal family heckled to the extent that we have in the last few days.
While Epstein is gone, Ghislaine Maxwell remains. Despite victim testimony identifying her as the operation's orchestrator, she continues to refuse cooperation. Her legal team presses for clemency, creating a standoff that many fear will bury the truth forever, a scenario President Trump has notably declined to rule out.
As her lawyer continues to press for clemency in exchange for her testimony, something President Trump has continually declined to rule out, how does this all make you feel?
It's honestly very disturbing to see these images of her and have her be looked at as someone who could potentially be providing any kind of information in this case. I mean, she has refused over and over to cooperate with the investigation. She's refused to she doesn't have any empathy or has not expressed any empathy or remorse to her victims. So I think it's highly problematic that anyone would consider negotiating with a serious criminal like this. And I think it would just really be indicative of guilt in some way, because we know that she is not a credible source of information.
And you say to her victims, as you know, she has repeatedly said that she had no involvement directly with actually.
I can speak, very personally, but the fact that that's not true. She was towards me. And there's so many other crimes that she committed that she wasn't even prosecuted for. There were 4 of us that testified at her trial, but I have now met so many women who say it was because of Ghislaine Maxwell that I ended up being, sometimes for years, and that she was at times involved in that herself. So she was a very central figure in this system and her efforts to minimize her role have not been effective. You know, we've seen in the files that have been released already several places where the emails she sent are contradictory to things she said on the record before.
Recently called to testify, Maxwell invoked her right to remain silent. If Epstein was truly acting alone, why is Ghislaine Maxwell so terrified to speak?
Ms. Maxwell, were you a close friend and confidant of Jeffrey Epstein?
I would like to answer your question, but on the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer this question and any related questions. My habeas petition is pending in the Southern District of New York. I therefore invoke my right to silence under the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
Let the record reflect that Ms. Maxwell has invoked the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination. Ms. Maxwell, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
For deeper investigations into the files, timelines, and verified facts versus speculation, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. I'll continue to sift through the documents to bring you the truth. Let me know in the comments. Is this a failure of the justice system or a calculated cover-up by the elite?